All right, if you couldn't get an indication as to what was going on in that piece that we just looked at, I want to quickly explain to you what happened. It turns out there might be an indication that there was live tweeting going on during the confrontation between Officer Darren Wilson and Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. And the person who was live tweeting hasn't come out yet, but we want to discuss this and talk about what are the implications of this and can it be ultimately used in a court of law. So Lonnie, up first, what are the rules in using social media if, in fact, this guy was live tweeting?
Well, with any evidence, you have to be able to put the witness on who did that. So whoever was tweeting, it's just like if somebody writes in a diary, if somebody spray paints something on a sidewalk, you can't just put the writings into evidence because we don't know what the reliability is. We don't know if that person even actually saw what went on. So you have to find the author of those writings, put them on the stand so that they can be questioned and say, this is where I was standing, this is what I saw, and yes, this is what I wrote. Otherwise, the evidence isn't considered to be credible enough by itself, just the words alone.
So the person needs to come out to say, I was the person live tweeting it in order for it to even be used in a court of law. Is that what you're saying? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Joey,
yes.
Yeah. Sorry, did you want to clarify something, Lonnie?
Well, there are a few exceptions, but that's the general rule.
Okay. Now, Joey, I wanted to talk to you about this. So ultimately, in one of the tweets that he sent out, he said, dude was running, and the cops just shot him. I saw him die, bro. So that's more of an indication that he's with the original story that we heard about Mike Brown actually running away from the officer,
yeah.
Joey.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And what happens is, and it's not unusual, I think Lonnie can tell you, I think Vincent could even tell you that there are inconsistencies in many stories from different witnesses. Witnesses view things from different vantage points. They come into the matter and they evaluate because I looked out my window at a certain point. And so certainly it's not unusual for there to be consistent and inconsistent witness statements. So I think what you'll see happen, Yasmin, particularly today and in the ensuing days, is you'll see the prosecutor put all the evidence before that grand jury, 12 members, and those will be consistent statements, there'll be inconsistent statements, there'll be the autopsy report, there'll be forensic and ballistic evidence, and it'll be up to the grand jury to make a determination whether or not this was justified or whether it wasn't justified, and whether an indictment, Yasmin, which is an accusation which starts the criminal process, should be issued by that grand jury.
And not only that, Yasmin, as a private investigator, I've dabbled in people's Facebook and Twitter accounts, but the problem you run into in court is, was this the actual person that sent the tweet? Was the account hacked? Did someone have the person's phone when they sent the tweet out? Would Twitter be willing to say, yes, I authenticate this is the person that owns this Twitter account?
And that's the key phrase that Vincent uses, authentication, because you want to ensure that it came from the actual person whose Twitter account it belongs to and wasn't, for example, held by someone else. Someone else certainly could have had access to it. So.
Right. And real quick, Lonnie, do we have to make sure, can we bring this guy forward if, in fact, we need to enter this evidence into the grand jury? Can we make sure that the person, whoever it was that was live tweeting this incident, can we bring him forward?
Well, that's what a grand jury does. It allows the prosecutor to issue subpoenas to people they've considered to be witnesses, which is a subpoena power of the court to bring them into the grand jury to testify. And one of the reasons why the grand jury is secret, for many reasons people don't like the secrecy, but one of the positives about it is it allows witnesses to come in and be able to have that confidentiality so they speak freely because it's